everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 11 and compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro Max and see how these particular iPhones hold up in 2025. Now, I will definitely tell you when it comes down to these types of devices, there's still, a lot of really cool things to keep in mind here within these types of devices. So if you are going to pick up one, it does make a lot of sense to go ahead and definitely pick up one that you definitely like, that you definitely love. And the 11 Pro Max is going to be the one that's going to be giving you an overall better experience. But with that being said, the 11 might still be pretty good too, but there's probably way better devices that I would highly recommend buying over this thing. So we'll go and take a look at these throughout this whole entire video. If you want to pick up either one of these types of phones though, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of these particular devices, the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 11 Pro Max both came out in 2019. So it's been about 6 years since these phones came out, which is crazy. It genuinely does not feel like it's been 6 years already. And when you go through and kind of look at it from that way, I mean, it's kind of insane. With the iPhone 11, the big thing to keep in mind here is that with this type of device, you're essentially going to be getting a phone that's still going to be pretty decent for the most part. You're still going to be getting like a 6.1 inch display on the front side of the iPhone 11, which is not bad. It's not the best either, but it gets the job done for the most part. And if you are about to go through and pick up a phone, you're probably going to be getting like a decent experience when it comes down to it from that side. So I do think from that particular side in and of itself, it's not a bad experience. With something like an iPhone 11, this type of device, 60 hertz display, you're getting an IPS panel, but it's more or less kind of what you'd expect from a phone nowadays. Now on top of that, with the iPhone 11 Pro Max, this phone is basically going to be giving you a 6.5 inch Super Retina OLED display. So it's going to be a Super Retina XDR OLED display. It's definitely going to look nicer and be a better type of display than you'd probably think. So that right there is actually something really cool to kind of keep in mind here. And if I'm about to go through and pick up a phone, I definitely do think that is kind of one of the bigger areas and assets to kind of keep in mind here within this type of device. So from that side in and of itself, I mean, you are without a doubt getting a way better device panel inside of something like the iPhone, 11 Pro Max, because it is an OLED display, than something like an iPhone, 11 in this particular example. So kind of keep that in mind if you are about to go through and pick up a phone. I do think that's probably going to be one of the biggest takeaways here. Now, I would also say on top of that, if you are about to go through and pick up a device, you probably also want to remember that these types of phones, they are a little bit outdated when it comes down to it. So with an iPhone 11 and an iPhone, in these particular situations, you're definitely going to be seeing that these types of phones are definitely going to be in a little bit of a different type of situation. They're both giving you lightning ports at the bottom. They're both giving you this curved side to it, which is again a little bit outdated as well. It's not terrible. It's not anything super insane that we haven't already seen before. But like I said before, if you are about to go through and pick up a phone, you might be wanting to look at different devices to kind of get a better experience. Now, you are also going to be able to go through and get some other devices here too. So another big thing to keep in mind is that between these types of devices, you're also going to be able to go through and basically get these, camera setups on the back. So dual camera setup on the iPhone 11, triple on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And it's not a terrible type of experience on either one of these because you're still going to be able to get a decent performing device, but you're getting wireless charging, glass back on the iPhone 11, frosted glass back on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And overall, it's definitely not that terrible of an experience, but if you are wanting a better phone, it would probably make more sense to go and get the iPhone 11 Pro Max, because that one does feel more premium and more of a current device than something like an iPhone 11. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to their cameras, this is also another very important thing to keep in mind here too. So with the cameras on the back, you're definitely going to be getting these different types of camera setups. So for starters, they're a little bit different as you can probably imagine. With the iPhone 11 Pro Max, they're all 12 megapixel sensors. So the front, back camera, whatever camera you see on these phones, you're getting the same exact camera megapixel count. They're both also 4K at 60 on the front and the back. So that right there is kind of interesting. You're essentially going to be getting kind of the same type of layout when it comes down to both from that particular side. So I'd probably tell you from that side, that is kind of one of the bigger things to keep in mind here. Again, it's not a big massive deal, but if you are about to go through and pick up a phone, you are definitely going to be noticing that here for the most part between these types of devices. But like I said, it's not a super massive deal, but it will be just one of those things that you might want to keep in mind there. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there too. If you are wanting the overall better camera, in my opinion, it definitely makes sense to look at something like an iPhone 11 Pro Max, but neither one of these phones are going to be like breaking any records anytime soon. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to their software longevity, both these phones are basically kind of already somewhat done getting, they're still getting software support, which is nice, but it's tough to say like how long these phones are, necessarily going to last, right? Like if I had to sit here and kind of guesstimate like how long these phones are going to kind of last, it's going to be kind of tough to tell. I'd probably say that these phones are still going to be here for, at least another year or two, but anything past a year, I'm not really 100% too sure. I hope these phones end up lasting forever, but I'm not really too sure if that is going to end up being the case. So that's going to be like another one of those things we're just going to have to kind of keep our eye out for. But I'd probably tell you for the most part, if you are about to go through and pick up a phone, these also these are still very, very good devices when it comes down to it. But we're just not too sure how long they're going to be supported with software. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now, on top of that, another very important thing to keep in mind here too is when it comes down to these types of devices, when it comes down to the battery life, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, I would probably say, would have probably given me better battery life overall. But I'd probably also say that when it comes down to it, you're also going to be getting really good experience from the iPhone 11 Pro Max or the iPhone 11. Like you can't really go wrong with either one. They're both going to be pretty solid. But like I said, if you are wanting the phone that's going to be giving you a better overall experience, it probably would make more sense to look elsewhere. And that's kind of how I see these types of devices holding up from that particular perspective as well. When it comes down to the performance, what's really surprising is that both these phones are basically giving you the exact same type of performance when it comes down to it. So both these phones are relatively basically the exact same thing. And that's something that's actually pretty crazy because you wouldn't think that these two phones would be basically the same exact thing when it comes down to it. But that's not quite the case. These two phones are relatively the same exact type of situation. So I would say that in and of itself is a really, really crazy thing in and of itself. So if you're trying to get the faster phone, like I said before, they're both relatively the same. If you are wanting the phone that's going to be giving you a better experience, you're not really going to be getting that here because they're both going to be giving you the same type of experience for the most part when it comes down to that side. So, and definitely when I kind of see these types of devices, they both do a really, really decent job. I do think, when it comes down to both, you can't really go wrong with either one of these. I think they both give you a pretty good experience, but there definitely are better devices out there I would recommend to buy rather than these ones. I don't really think it makes any sense whatsoever to go ahead and buy either one of these types of devices anymore. I think it makes a lot more sense to go and buy a device possibly like an iPhone 13 Pro, an iPhone 13 Pro Max. Those types of devices, I would say, make a lot more sense to me to recommend to people rather than this one. I just can't think of any reason why somebody should go out and buy something like an iPhone 11 or 11 Pro. I think there's way better devices out there. I think if you're on an extreme budget, then, go for it. But I think if you can kind of swing for it, a little bit more of an expensive device, I think I would much rather recommend people to buy something like an iPhone, 13 Pro or an iPhone 14 or 14 Pro than something like an iPhone 11 or iPhone 11 Pro Max. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there too. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.